Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one, man. Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Get real. Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Get real good. That's what I'm talking about. Time to get real.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, Rebecca Lynn Norrington, and thank you so much for being with me. Thank you for supporting the show. Oh, these 3 years. This show, Reality Spirituality, has grown even beyond my expectations. And we all know, if you listen to the show, all expectations subtract from happiness. And what is Reality Spirituality? Who am I? What is this show about? For me, this show is about sharing with you, you sharing with me, our day-to-day grind, if you will, moment-by-moment challenges, moment-by-moment, day in, day out, the real life, real world, real issues, relationships, finances, health, co-workers, strangers on the streets. This show encompasses everything, and because everything has a connection to the universe, to spirituality, everything is connected. And for me, living connected, living with this intention of being an example. That's right, I said it. Being an example of the universe in human form. What does that mean? That means eliminating judgments. That means having no expectations. That means not blaming anyone or any circumstance for the way I feel, my emotions. That means always finding the answers. The answers are always found within. The problems are always found within. The solutions are always found within. This show is about empowering you, my dear listener, to practice. That's all it is. It's practicing new skills, practicing skills how to add to your own happiness, how to create more happiness in your life. And you know what? It's interesting that I use that word create because I had a conversation with my son yesterday. He's visiting from New York. Ooh, we'll get to that in a minute. And talking about creating. Creating, for me, is defined by making something out of nothing. So I'm going to switch it up, and I'm not going to use the word creating more happiness. I'm going to use experiencing more happiness. Is that even possible? Is it possible to experience more happiness and more happiness? In other words, it just becomes a big snowball. It's just every day you experience more and more and more and more. And I say, my left hand's up in the air, I say yes, it is. And it's really quite simple. It's not that complicated. What is more of a challenge is practicing the skills, number one. And we have a few people in the queue. I'm going to get to my callers in. Give me a couple minutes. Practicing the skills, practicing the behaviors, the perspectives that actually add to your happiness, actually expand. You will feel more of regardless of what's going on around you. And one of those, and the theme today is judgments. One of those ways, in fact, all judgments subtract from your happiness. Every single time you judge another person, you might as well just take you know how you just take a piece of chalk and just X out your happiness for that moment. And I'm just speaking of myself, and it's very difficult. You know what? I'm going to switch it up. It's very challenging to eliminate judgments. I mean, I find I have a lot less than I had a month ago, 2 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. And the reason is because I have a lot less judgments about myself. I don't know about you, but I was brought up in a home where all my parents did was judge other people, judge others. So I mean, it was a judge fest. It was, and not to say only because they didn't know any different. They didn't know any different. I didn't know any different. I actually thought I was supposed to look at somebody else and criticize them for their stance or their beliefs or their behavior or what they said. I mean, come on, isn't that normal? You look at somebody else and you have a criticism and you know what's wrong with them. I didn't grow up in a home that said, look at other people and find the good. Look at everybody and find find what you like about them and focus on that. I don't know about you, audience, but I wasn't raised in a home like that. So consequently, I can judge in a second. And my son, and he's brought a lot of people, you know, friends and stuff from New York, and so he's got a buddy of his living visiting. Ooh-wee. Talking about judging. It's funny because these kids, I call them kids, even though they're both 30. These kids are on this kick, or are going through this stage, and you know, listen, I went through a lot of stages in my life also, but these kids are on they're on a paleo diet, which means you don't eat bread, you don't eat pasta, you don't eat any of that, you just eat meat and vegetables. Everything has to be made fresh, and my son wants me to eat like he eats so badly. My son wants me to to adopt his way of life with this diet. To the point that, now listen to this, this is what happened please don't tell him that I shared this. Nah, you can tell him. So what happened was the first day, no, it was the second day he was here. He came, and then his friends came later. So the first day was just me and him in the house. And listen, I like to eat. Now, I like to eat, and I like to eat whatever I want to eat. Please don't judge me on this one, but one of my favorite spots, and this goes way back to high school, but one of my favorite spots to eat is Taco Bell from time to time, not all the time, but I mean, if I really want to treat myself, I'm going to go to the drive-thru and order a Mexican pizza and a burrito supreme. I'm sorry, but that's what and I get so much pleasure out of it. Please. And my son, wants to, he's calling himself helping, calling himself being good to his mom. I came home one day, and actually I didn't have anything at the house to eat, that I wanted, so I was going to pick up Chipotle. I love Chipotle also. I ordered a veggie burrito with everything on it. It was going, oh my gosh, my mouth was watering. I couldn't wait to get home. Get home to the house, and my son, my number one son, has a plate the size of Mount Everest piled up with all of this healthy, can I say it? It is my show. Healthy, I'm just going to say, no, healthy food, from whipped cauliflower. I guess cauliflower is supposed to substitute for mashed potatoes. It doesn't. Cauliflower, couscous, a portobello mushroom pizza, yam chips. I mean, it was filled with this food with no seasoning, no taste. It was just and a side green drink, and a green drink chaser. I didn't even know what was in the green drink. Now for me, what do you do? What do you do, audience, if that happens? What do you do if someone wants you or judges you and wants you to be like them or eat like them or think like them? What do you do? That's the question, and I'm going to get to that in a little bit, but I'm going to go to my callers because they've been waiting very patiently online. And my first caller is area code 575. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. What's your first name?
Hi, this is Tammy.
Tammy with a T?
Yes. Yes.
Hi, Tammy. Welcome to the show. What's going on with you?
Thank you, ma'am. Well, I was just, I like the word that you use called practice, and I think that what I'm struggling with these days is, practicing having confidence in God. Sometimes when I don't have confidence that, the jobs are going to come through or the things that I want are going to come through, or, how do you know? How do you practice? Continually walking, with confidence that things are going to work out the way they are. Even though I'm better than I used to be, I'm still kind of like struggling with that last little bit of that.
Okay, I get what you're saying. In other words, what you're asking is, and correct me if I'm wrong, what you're asking is, how do you get to a feeling where you're going to be okay with all of it? You're talking about confidence, when you're going to just feel okay and you can let your shoulders down and you can relax and you can trust, and you can trust that everything is going to happen. Is that what you're asking?
Right.
Well, you said something that was key. You really said something that was key when you were speaking. Okay. And one of it was, you said, and I'm getting chills now, what you said was, I'm better than I used to be.
Right.
And what I struggled with for a long time was this energy of impatience, wanting everything now. What? I'm ready. Where is everything, universe? I'm ready. And honestly,
right.
Yeah, I really had to, Tammy. I really had to learn another skill. I mean, listen, it's all about just skills that we're practicing, and the skill is the skill of patience, because it's a universal. It's a universal energy. It's a universal vibe where you're patient with all of it and how it unfolds and the length of time. I'm just sharing. Listen, my latest book came out in April, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness. And listen, in May I wanted it to be at the New York Times bestseller list. But regardless of whether it is there or not, it's like looking at, do you have any children?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, when you had a child, whichever one you want to choose, when you had your child, and they came out and they were little newborns, did you ever stand over that baby and start yelling, "Hey, hurry up and grow some teeth. Hurry up, start walking. Hurry up and feed yourself. Hurry up and, in other words, you had patience with how your child grew.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, and we have to really be patient with the process, be patient with the journey, and be patient with ourselves, because patience means that it's another word for love. It's another word for unconditional love. And it's about being patient with self and patient with what is unfolding.
Okay.
So I'm going to say that you do have confidence, my dear. It's not a lack of confidence at all. It's just about embracing this, having patience, and even, I'm going to throw this out too, and trusting. Having patience and trusting that everything is in perfect order.
Well, I think that tool in my toolbox, to accomplish this, the only tool that I have, it seems, is, just to, practice being in the here and now. And that's kind of a new experience for me, because I always had anxiety and things. I'm a planner, so I had to plan everything. And is there another tool that I can use? I mean, I love the whole, just staying focused on the here and now to help me with my patience and trust. But
okay. Let me give you something else. And thank you so much for just asking the question. Let me give you something else too, because I was listening to you, and a couple things came up. You said that, okay, hold on a second. Okay, memory, come back to me. She said, I remember. You said that you are a planner.
Right.
And I'm going to say, don't get all crazy about it, but I'm going to say planning is another word for me. I don't know if it resonates for you, is controlling, wanting to control. Planning is controlling. And see, planning is a future. You're doing it. It's all in the future.
Right.
All plans are in the. So what I've done, what works for me, because honey, I used to be a planner too. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So listen. So what works for me now, and it's really, I'm just chilling up all over, is practicing the skill of being okay, embracing uncertainty. Now, I don't make any kind of plans. Listen, if I have to get on a plane, or if I have a dental appointment, doctor appointment, or if I have a job I have to get to, a responsibility, okay, yes, I have to plan. But everything else, I don't. I have given up my things to do list. I do what I'm inspired to do in the moment, in every single day, and I've given everything up.
Okay.
And that was a hard one, because, I said planning is all about really controlling for me. And when you try to control, it's just another a clue that you're really not surrendering to, in other words, sitting back and letting the universe drive.
That makes sense.
And then when you plan, you're really in the future. You're not even in the moment. You're in the future, planning. And listen, I hear these 6 months goals, 3 month goals, week by week goals. I don't do that. I don't do that at all. I'm done. I don't do it. Other people can do it. I just don't do it.
Yeah, but I hear what you're saying about the control thing. I think that early in my adulthood, I had to have that kind of control and get through some hard times. But now it's different. So I hear you, what you're saying about that. Thank you for pointing that out.
And you said something now to this. Another gem. You had that. You planned and you controlled. You just said it to get out of something, or it served you.
Right.
That it served you at a time. It's also not about looking back and what happened, what I did, and what I could have done. None of that, because everything that you did was also perfect, even when you were controlling then, because it served you at that time. Now it's about letting go of this extra suitcase, letting go of the extra suitcases, and just getting lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter.
Okay. And I feel it. And what you said about judgment, I feel like I judge myself harshly, more so than other people. And part of that process of letting go was that judgment of myself. So goes with that control suitcase.
You know what? You've hit on like some of the most important topics as far as being happier and more content than any caller. Everything that you're saying is you're talking about judgments now. Listen, again, let's go back to your darling. How many children do you have?
I have one child and a grandchild.
Okay. Okay. Let's go back to the one child. When the one child was born and the one child was a year old, 2 years old, these children, you and me, because we were kids too once, these children, we were not born with this ability, this practice of judging. We actually had to learn how to judge other people. And
yeah,
what?
I caught what you said about that earlier. That was my life too.
Yeah. And so whatever you learn, you can't unlearn. And so you see, you put your 1-year-old. So sometimes it's developing new skills, and sometimes it's just unlearning others. So you put your 2-year-old in the middle of a room, and the child is wearing like maybe an outfit with holes in it, and it hasn't been washed, and other people are in the workroom. No, the kid is not, the baby is not judging anybody. The baby is not judging anybody. So just recognize that judgment is something that we learned, and then we have to unlearn. And all it is practicing. And, let me just throw this in too. Whenever I have a new skill, or not a new skill, but whenever I am practicing, I always ask the universe for help. So, you know what, universe, I'd like a little bit, I'd like some help with this. How do I? And you always ask a question, because when you ask questions, you always get answers. So how do I judge less? What does it look like when I'm judging less? How can I practice judging less? And you just throw it out there. You can ask that a few times in a day, or you can just ask it once. But when you ask a question, especially a universal question like that, you will see that over time you'll be getting answers, and it'll be less and less. And you said something about judging self. Being critical of that person in the mirror is something else we learned. And I got to a point, my dear Tammy, that I was sick and tired of being critical of me. So everything I did, whether I got angry, whether I didn't follow through, whether I didn't make a phone, I'm not critical of anything I do anymore. Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Give yourself.
I'm sorry.
What? No, go ahead, sweetie.
I have this little sign I made out of little Scrabble letters on my bathroom mirror. It says, unapologetically me. So every day I have to look at that to remind myself not to apologize for me, but that I was trained to, I was raised up. I'm trying.
Yeah, and again,
practicing is what you use.
Ask for help. Ask for help to say, how do I less and less, and how do I critical this critic. Listen. You sometimes I got to a point where I heard it from Mom, heard it from Dad, heard it from myself. And I'm just like, okay, I'm done. I'm sick.
Right.
I'm done with criticizing me. Everything I do, even if I'm quote unquote not connected and not being universal and reverting back to allowing my ego to be in control, I'm giving that an A+ too.
Okay. Okay. I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're there. You're there, and you're evolving. And I just want you to sit and just accept you, accept where you've been, accept the moment, and know and trust that everything is unfolding perfectly for you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Anything else?
I think I'm just going to stay and listen to see what else you have to say.
Okay, good, because
okay.
I welcome you to call back anytime. You touched so many topics. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm going to get back to practicing.
Yeah, and have fun with it, and have fun, and be lighter, and don't take this life, don't take this shit so personally and so seriously. Lighten up.
Okay.
Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun on this journey.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Which brings me to my favorite quote from Abraham, which is, "You cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey." And what does that mean? It just means that this journey is really to be enjoyed. This journey is to feel, let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy it all. Even the stuff that might not feel so good. Okay? Let's really start enjoying it all. Getting back to my and I really love Tammy's call. I just, my listeners are, for 99% always are calling in, and they're honest and they're open, sharing, and that's what this life is. We are more alike than we are different. People, trust me, I was a bitch on wheels, my way or the highway, always easy to anger, very temperamental. I walked around, I walked around with the hammer, banging everybody on the head with it. I mean, that's who I was. And I got to a point in my life, and I don't remember exactly when, but it just started feeling so heavy. I was tired. I was exhausted from just being like that. It was like, can't I do something else? Isn't there another way? Isn't there a different way to experience this life without always getting pissed off? Isn't there another way? And guess what? There is. And that's all this is about. We're all so unique. I like to say we're as different as our fingerprints. We are unique, and our journeys are unique. That's one of the reasons why when I judge or when I look at or think about someone else, what they're doing, going back to my son fixing this meal for me, there were so many things going on with that. Listen, his intention was he wants his mom to eat healthier, but his intention, and we talked about it, was to control me, to control what I put in my mouth, expectations of, and he offered it up, and he offered this food up as a gift. I spent an hour in the kitchen preparing. This is my gift to you, and sit down and eat it. This is what happened, audience. I have to finish it. What happened, was all these things were going in my head because one thing I know is I'm conscious. When things happen to me, I live consciously. I don't do too many things unconsciously like I used to. Just get your buttons pushed and now I'm in a rage, or get your buttons pushed and now I'm. But I consciously know when. So I went upstairs with this plate of healthy food, quote unquote healthy food, and I sat there. Oh, because my bag of my Chipotle was downstairs, and I sat there and I said, now, am I supposed to eat this because he made it for me and I feel obligated, and if I don't eat, his feelings are going to get hurt and he's going to be upset, and what do I do? And I sat there for about maybe a couple minutes, and I tried the cauliflower that was all pureed. It was horrible. Because it was just bland. He didn't put any salt or butter or anything in it. I tried the couscous. Yeah, okay, I could do that. I tried the portobello mushroom. It was bad. Listen, I'm comparing this dish with Chipotle, vegetarian vegetable burrito with all the salsa and the sour cream and the cheese. Are you kidding? It's no comparison. So I sat and I tried it, and I looked at him and I said, you know what, Nathan, I'm going to save you what you made for me. Thank you for making it. I'm going to save what you made for me. Tomorrow I'm going to take it to work. I'm going to take it to my office and eat it then. And inside, okay, please don't tell him. Inside I was doing a wink, 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 wink. Because I was, no thank you. And I went downstairs, got my little bag, got my Chipotle burrito, and oh my God, just grubbed. Yeah, I even offered him a bite, and he took a bite of the Chipotle, the vegetarian, the vegetables, and the salsa and everything else. And yeah, Mom, this is really good. And he said, I must admit that the food that I made is not that exciting to eat. Well, audience, for me, I have to be excited about my food. I don't have to be, but I like to be excited about what I'm eating. At least this is who I am now. Now, maybe in 6 months, I might change it up and want bland food and health, and all. Just eat vegetables and meat. I might want to do that, but this day, right now, December, in 2014, that ain't me. So, what the hell was my point? Oh, my point is knowing. One of the most important things for me is really knowing me, knowing being true to me, being honest with myself, and making a decision without, I'm going to say the word, without caring about any other person's feelings. And what I mean by that is my feelings are my responsibility. No one can hurt my feelings. No one can offend me. No one can bring me up or down. My feelings are my responsibility. And so, in reality, even my own son's feelings are his responsibility. Now, he can sit there, and he even told me, he says, Mom, I just blamed you for that evening that I had. You rejected me. I gave you a gift of food, and you rejected it, and I tried to blame you, but I knew it was really me, and on and on. So know that your feelings, your happiness, your peace of mind is all your responsibility. Now, that's great news. In fact, that's empowering news because now nobody else is in the mix. You, my dear listener, you are the sole person, entity responsible for how you are going to feel and how you respond forever. You can get rid of these you can get rid of these people. Listen, blaming my son for how I feel, blaming my mother for, whatever she says and irritates me. It's not her. It's not them. It's always me. Again, all of your solutions, all of your problems, all of your answers are all found in the mirror. Now, what does that mean? A formula for happiness, or being a formula for happiness, getting to this place where, and it's not just a place and now you're here. It's a process to get here. It's an ongoing journey. It's a journey that will never end until you breathe your last breath. I am not going to be the same person I am in a month. I know that because of, and that's one of the things my dear listener Tammy said, which I love. She says, I'm better than I used to be. Just that acknowledgement that looking and saying, you know what? Yesterday, I responded like this, and today I respond differently. And what this life is about, at least for me, is you can respond any way you want. You can feel any way you want. But what I really want to do with this show is just give you other choices. You can respond, you can behave, you can feel how you used to feel, yes. But what about another way? What about another choice? And that's all the show is about. Now, we talked about judging earlier, and I also want to welcome, I have a few people in the queue, but nobody wants to talk, but that's okay. And I want to welcome my listeners to call in at 646-564-9619. I have about 8 people in the queue, but everybody seems to like me just talking, which is okay. 646-564-9619. And what the hell was my point? Talking. Oh, having more choices. The more choices that I have really means to me is the more perspectives. The more perspectives I can choose from. And I haven't talked about this in a long time. I'm going to throw this out, especially because I have new listeners now. We have 360 ways to be happy in any moment. In other words, if you find yourself in a situation and, you're just like, you're resisting, because that's really what it is. You're resisting the moment. You're resisting. And resistance, you can feel the difference. You can feel whether you're resisting or whether you're flowing with reality. And we have 360 ways. And why do I say that? I say 360 because it's a full circle. 360 ways because whatever situation, whatever moment you find yourself in, you can always choose your perspective. Let's take, in fact, I want to just go back to what Tammy said earlier about being, she said something about confidence. She said something about, she talked about that, and you were talking, and so not having confidence. And you can change that perspective instead of saying not having confidence to feeling uncertain. And when you say feeling uncertain, it's even a little lighter. And see, being uncertain is a good thing. Labels I don't like to label, but being uncertain is really our natural way of being. This being certain into in the next moment and knowing what's going on in the next moment, that's another learned behavior. Let me give you an example. Let me give you a real example. and this is what I've learned. There's so many people that contact me, and for wanting to collaborate. People that I've run across, and they have a certain position that they could possibly. In other words, they know people that know people. There was a man that I met. I actually said it on the air a couple of months ago when I was in physical therapy. For people that don't know, I had arthroscopic hip surgery in October, the beginning of October, and I'm fine now. Trust me, I'm good. But for a couple of days, I went to physical therapy. That's right, a couple of days. And I met this man, and we just started chatting because we were next to each other doing our exercises. And we were just chatting, and I found out, listen to this, audience, and I found out that in our, talking, that he was a producer for the David Letterman show. Not only does he know David Letterman personally, but he also has connections in, the Discovery Channel. I mean, he knows a lot of producers. Now, one of my visions, or one of my, I thought about, wow, I want Reality Spirituality live on the OWN network. I need live. I want a show. Listen, a show other than Blog Talk Radio. I want it to be on, network TV. Me answering questions from the audience. I think that's a grand idea. And now I come across, the universe puts in my path this man who has connections with, some real players. So we chatted for a while, and I told, and I was sharing with him, my book, and he says, Rebecca, he said, I know A, B, I know this person, that person. He says, I'm going to find out, because he says, oh, you have an idea for a new show? He says, put something together, put a little, what is it? He called it a treatment. No, he said a reel. Put something together, your idea for a show, outline for a show. I guess you really have to, put it in writing first. And I did send it to him, emailed it to him, and I said, we'll see, October. So it was it was the beginning of October. Never heard back. Emailed, made another email, never heard back. But this is my point. When we talk about certainty and being uncertain, I was so certain that my connection with my new friend, I was so certain that my connection with this man, who we really connect, we hit it off, we clicked, I made him laugh. Not only did he have a contact, personal relationship with David Letterman, but he used to manage rock bands, in the 80s and the 90s. I mean, really big bands, really big, people that you would recognize. So he's a mover and shaker, and he's retired now. Okay, he's retired. He's an older guy. So I just knew. I remember walking out of physical therapy, and I was skipping, even with the crutches. I was skipping with my crutches. I was like, oh, yeah, this is it. Yeah, the show is going to go live all across the nation, global. Yeah, I know it. Because I connected with this guy. I connected with this player, this big name. Now, let's throw in a little expectations there. Can we throw in expectations in the mix? I had expectations. I knew, I was certain this was the key. This was the turning point. This was going to give me my big break. I was certain. And He never responded. Maybe a couple months went by, didn't respond. And then finally, just this week, I think it was Wednesday, because we befriended each other on Facebook, I sent him a Facebook message, and I said, I'm going to call him Jim. And I said, hey, Jim, it's Rebecca. Did you ever get my emails? And, I'm just following up. Mind you, it's been 2 months, okay? So all of my certainty and expectations and all that was just, just quickly just going down the toilet. And so, so I sent him a Facebook message, and then he messaged me back. I should share with you what he messaged me back, because it was, let me go up to my Facebook page, because this is live. Oh, I just love live shows. Let me see. Oops, wrong thing. Hold on a second, audience. I want to really share with you what the message was. Okay, here we go. And it was a long message. So, this was Tuesday. Yeah, this was Tuesday of this week. Hi, Rebecca. Yes, I received everything. I was just thinking of you when I got your message. I met with Fred yesterday and discussed you with both Worldwide Pants and Oprah's contact. I'm sorry it took so long, but I was away, and believe it or not, Fred was in Florida and Cuba for weeks. Nonetheless, Oprah combined her company with Discovery and no longer works on new projects, and all energy. Oprah combined her company with Discovery and no longer works on new projects, and all energy goes through her network. Dave's last show is in May, and Dave is moving in a totally different direction. Fred is also retiring in May, and we also discussed the importance of the numbers game. And it seems like your numbers have a long way to go. Numbers meaning, yes, it is. Social media, you have to have millions of followers. I've got thousands. By numbers, I mean followers on Facebook, Twitter, and he says, I get what you're saying when you say you're the next Oprah. And I did say that, and sometimes I said, but I usually don't say that anymore. He says, Oprah already exists, and you don't really want to open that comparison. Anyway, sorry for the delay, but I haven't forgotten you or our conversation. Have a nice Christmas and a great New Year. Thanks for nothing. So this is my point. My point is, what I've learned is every time I think, I'm certain, every time I expect, every time I just know what's going to be around the corner, my dear audience, every single time. And listen, that's just one of the examples that's happened in my life. I mean, when you're in LA, you have contact with a lot of people, and that's just one of the. I'm just going to share another one. I went to Agape a few weeks ago, and my book is supposed to be. I sent my book in, wrote about having it in the Agape bookstore. Supposed to hear back. Of course, my book in the Agape bookstore. Michael Beckwith. Oh yes, here I go. and I've learned that it's not my journey. It's the journey that the universe has planned for me. There's been so many examples, countless examples, of what I just explained that okay, how many times am I going to knock my head on the wall thinking that I know this is going to, I'm going to shoot off into the star, here it is. So I've given up planning, controlling, having a things to-do list, and just saying, you know what, universe, if my show, Reality Spirituality, is supposed to be out there, global, thank you. If my show is the same, in other words, reaches the same, the numbers grow slowly, and it's just what it is today, thank you. And really, really mean it, audience. Really be okay with all of it. It's about accepting where I am, loving where I am, without this wanting something else, without this energy of dissatisfaction, without this energy of there could be more, because if I take that energy if I have that energy in this moment, I'm going to take it into my next moment. Now, I really got off track with judgments, but I talked about judgments, but I wanted to share that. It's another insight to what happens and what is and what the universe plans for happening. It's my perspective of whether it's glorious. Is what's going on right now glorious? Is it what's going on right now satisfying? Is what's going on right now perfect? Yes. And I talked about asking questions earlier, and one of the things I ask the universe all the time is, what else is possible without wanting something else? In other words, I want something else other than what this is. I want more. I want something else. I want to touch everybody in the world. In other words, what else is possible, universe? And that's it. It's really settling in, and it's not about just not doing anything, but acting from inspiration, as opposed to acting because I planned it, or acting because it's something I have to do or I should do. So I want to leave you all with that, because the more practice and the more I can really wrap my head around, okay, it's my journey. This is another one. I have to throw this out because this is another one. This comparing my show to someone else who has millions of listeners, comparing my book to someone else. And my book's just as good as their book. Why? No, this comparing, that's another thing. Comparing has to be eliminated, because it also subtracts from your happiness. So this comparing myself with other people that are out there, more exposure. Every time I do, I'm miserable. It's a miserable feeling. Can you compare the stars in the sky? Can you compare trees? Can you compare rose bushes? Can you compare, babies? Can you compare? No. Comparison has to be eliminated also. Whew. Now, I just talked, and I know I said a few things that I've said before, but they're all important, especially going into this new year. I want to thank all of my listeners, and I'm grateful for every single one of you. If you want more information on my coaching programs, you can go to my website at RebeccaNorrington.com. That's RebeccaNorrington.com, and go to the private sessions tab. If you'd enjoyed the show, you can go to Facebook, Reality Spirituality on Facebook, and like the show. And please remember who you are. You are a physical extension of the universe. You're always growing, you're always expanding, you're always evolving. Be patient and be kind to yourself. Be your own best friend. And remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. We're going to connect again next week. Our last shows of the year, Reality Spirituality, will be live next Sunday. I don't know if I'm going to have a Saturday show. I'm trying to firm up a guest, but definitely next Sunday. So have a great week, everybody. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality. I love you all. I really, really do. And accept you all. Accept you all.
Yeah. Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's the new experience. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one, man. Reality Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Reality Spirituality. Oh, now we getting real. Getting real. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, you gonna feel good.